The story commenced with an armored train speeding through the night. The captain reportedly urged his crew to increase the train's pressure and speed, emphasizing that stopping meant death. He also instructed a crew member to inform the passengers that they were approaching an abandoned town and should prepare for impact. Upon hearing this, trained men on board, identified as knights, armed themselves for battle. As the train traversed the station, the terrifying Kabanin products of an unknown virus could be heard landing on the train and attempting to breach it. They reportedly tried to grab and bite anyone within reach, but the knights fought them off with gunfire. Their efforts only slowed the creatures, as the only way to kill them was by destroying their steel-coated hearts. A young man named Ikoma was then seen testing a new weapon he had constructed to penetrate the Kabana's hearts. During the fight, one of the knights was grabbed and bitten. Other knights pulled him back but discovered the bite mark. They reportedly handed him a suicide bag, a small bomb designed to eliminate only the holder, and pressured him to end his life before the virus transformed him into a Kabanin. He tearfully activated the bomb, terminating himself. Ikoma's new weapon did not function as intended. A young woman named Mume awoke on the train and inquired if another town had been overrun by Kabane. Her guide informed her that the knights had successfully repelled the Kabane in a fortified town away from their current location. Ikoma subsequently rushed to his workplace, a facility responsible for building and maintaining fortified supply trains. While working with his friend, they discussed his weapon's failure. His friend offered an idea, leading Ikoma to realize he had overlooked a crucial step. He decided to leave to continue working on his weapon. At that moment, Lady Ayame, the daughter of the ruling family, arrived at the workplace, requesting assistance with her father's steam gun. Ikoma's boss reportedly called upon him to help her. While Ikoma was examining the weapon, the train previously attacked by the Kabane, known as the Iron Fortress, arrived earlier than anticipated. Lady Ayame questioned her father, Lord Kensho, the head of the Yagawa family, about the early arrival. Her father explained that other stations along the route had been attacked by Kabane. Lord Kensho then ordered a check of all crew members to identify anyone bitten during the attack, instructing that they be jailed. Following the inspection, workers commenced maintenance and repairs on the train. During the train repairs, Ikoma reportedly found a Kaban heart and decided to keep it for testing. Mume descended from the train and a knight attempted to stop her, but Lord Kensho ordered him to stand down, offering hospitality to Mume and her guide. Suddenly a man ran from the train. The knights shot at him, claiming he was a Kaban. As they tried to kill him, Ikoma intervened, reminding them of the rule stating that anyone suspected of being a Kaban should be jailed and observed for 3 days. The knights reacted negatively, beating him up. In the process, the Kaban heart fell from Ikoma's bag. The man tried to escape and the knights shot and killed him. Ikoma, enraged, reportedly told them the man would not have died if he were a Kaban. Displeased with Ikoma's behavior, Lord Kensho ordered the knights to imprison him, suspecting him of being a Kaban. Lady Ayame attempted to intercede with her father, but he refused to listen. At Lord Kensho's mansion, Mume explored independently. She found Ikoma in his cell and asked him why he was not afraid of the Kabani, and why he confronted the knights. He reportedly told her that they could not continue to live in fear or they would lose their humanity. At the factory, Ikoma's co-workers discussed his actions. Another train was spotted approaching the town, but unbeknownst to them it had been hijacked by Kabani and was hurtling towards the town at full speed. The track workers grew suspicious and decided to raise the track, causing the train to crash into the town. The Kabani then attacked the townspeople, killing and infecting everyone in their path. Lord Kensho reportedly rode out to secure another fortified location, the Iron Fortress, for their escape. Meanwhile, Ikoma escaped from his cell and retrieved his weapon. He reportedly cut himself, using his blood as bait to lure a Kabani. A Kabani attacked him, and as he struggled he experienced flashbacks of his parents being killed by Kabani. He then shot and killed the Kabani with his weapon, expressing joy that it finally worked, until he realized he had been bitten. Mume's guide, Priest Shimon, revealed that he had been bitten and could no longer accompany her before taking his own life. Ikoma, upon realizing he was bitten, immediately chained himself to a machine he had been developing. This machine reportedly choked him, extracting the virus before it could spread throughout his body. A Kabana attempted to attack Mume, but she reportedly decapitated it with her blade-fitted shoes. Ikoma awoke from a nightmare, realizing his machine had worked and prevented his transformation into a Kabanin. He was immensely relieved. Amidst his joy, his friend and co-worker Takumi arrived, appearing confused. Ikoma informed him that his weapon, the piercing cannon, had worked after he followed Takumi's suggestion to increase the explosive load. They both celebrated. Takumi then asked if Ikoma had been bitten, to which he affirmed, causing Takumi to look frightened. Ikoma assured him that his other device had prevented the virus's spread. They expressed happiness that they could now kill the Kabanin and potentially cure the infected. Mume then tried to locate the Iron Fortress. Lady Ayame remained in town, surrounded by Kabani, awaiting her father's signal from the Iron Fortress. Some knights grew impatient, stating they could not risk waiting. Mume arrived, having changed her attire, and reportedly declared that she would clear a path for them to escape to the Iron Fortress. One knight expressed doubt and tried to silence her, but she overpowered and knocked him out, surprising the other knights. She then reportedly jumped into the horde of Kabani with her ammunition, fighting and eliminating them, thereby creating an escape route. She single-handedly defeated all the Kabani, astonishing both the knights and Lady Ayame. Ikoma and Takumi discussed mass-producing their new weapon while en route to join others at the Iron Fortress. Upon arrival, guards stopped them, demanding they remove their clothes for bite mark inspection. Ikoma attempted to display his mark, but Takumi intervened, stating that they would not believe he was uninfected. At that moment, two Kabani attacked the fortress. Ikoma reportedly drew his weapon, knowing its use would grant them entry. Before he could act, Mume intervened and eliminated the Kabani, leaving Ikoma astounded by her strength. Lady Ayame, some knights, and the townspeople safely reached the Iron Fortress. Captain Kurusu, the head of the knights, tried to prevent Ikoma's entry, claiming he was a Kabani who had escaped jail. Mume intervened, asserting he was not a Kabani. Everyone then boarded the Iron Fortress. The crew started the engines using a master key held solely by Lady Ayame. As their journey commenced, the train was attacked by hordes of Kabani. The knights attempted to fight them off with gunfire, but the numbers overwhelmed them. On the train, Captain Kurusu tried to assign Mume a task. Recognizing her skill in fighting Kabani, she refused, opting to sleep instead. Ikoma saved a woman and her children from being crushed by a pipe. He reportedly pulled out his weapon and shot a Kabani attempting to penetrate the train, eliminating it instantly. As he celebrated, he looked back to see his friend and others on the train staring in shock and confusion. He then looked at himself, realizing his heart now resembled that of a Kabani. Captain Kurusu arrived and upon seeing this drew his gun. Before Ikoma could explain, he shot him. The impact reportedly caused Ikoma to fall from the train, left for dead. Someone then informed Captain Kurusu that Kabane were in their path. He decided to investigate and discovered that Lord Kensho was among them, having been turned. Lady Ayame joined him, and upon seeing her father's transformation burst into tears. The train crushed all the Kabane in its path. It then came to a halt so they could lower the bridge and continue their journey, but the switch was not working. The Kabane attacked the train, destroying its water tank. Captain Kurusu decided to disembark and manually lower the bridge. Before he could leave, a crew member informed them that someone was fighting the Kabane among them. They looked out and realized it was Ikoma, alive. Ikoma reportedly fought off the Kabane with great strength and lowered the bridge, allowing them to pass safely. Ikoma then reportedly burst into tears. As he wept, his friend Takumi threw out a rope and urged him to take it so he could pull him back onto the train. Some people tried to stop Takumi. Ikoma ignored them and continued crying. Mume jumped from the train, tied the rope around his legs and asked Takumi to pull him back. Captain Kurusu and some knights tried to pressure him into taking his own life, tossing him a suicide bag. Mume intervened, telling them he was not a Kaban. She then revealed that she also possessed a heart similar to the Kabans like Ikoma. She explained they were neither Kaban nor humans but something in between called Kabaneri. Captain Kurusu refused to believe her, concluding they were Kaban regardless. Lady Ayame intervened, making the people realize that the Kabaneri had saved them from the Kaban. Captain Kurusu maintained his stance, stating he would not allow Kabaneri on board the train. Ikoma agreed and tried to disembark, but Mume stopped him by throwing him to the floor. Mume then asked Lady Ayame if the train was bound for Kongokaku, one of the country's greatest strongholds. She promised they would remain in a secluded room on the train if they were taken to Kongokaku. Ikoma tried to interrupt her, but she reportedly kicked him in the groin, knocking him unconscious. On the train, small wraps of food were distributed, with some people reportedly dissatisfied with the quantity. The pregnant lady on board received 2 raps. Ikoma woke from a nightmare. Mume informed him that his wounds had healed due to his cabannery ability. Ikoma asked her why she wanted to go to Kongokaku. She replied that she had a mission she could not disclose. Ikoma also expressed interest in the location due to its research facilities and the possibility of obtaining answers about their cabannery form. Mume explained that she fell asleep if she fought for too long, thus requiring Ikoma to be her shield. She then began to train him. People on the train started questioning Lady Ayame's decision to allow Ikoma and Mume, being cabannery, to remain on board. They demanded their immediate removal. Lady Ayame assured them that the cabannery had agreed to stay in a secluded room, away from the others, and reminded the people to be grateful for their assistance. The people also demanded that the train stop for a funeral ceremony for those they had lost before they traveled too far. Mume continued to train Ikoma, but he struggled to grasp the techniques. He asked her why she wore a restraint tied to her neck. She explained that its removal would allow her to fight to her full potential but would also cause her to tire quickly. Mume then believed she heard a cabanan on board, left the room and rushed into the train's common area where people were. She was mistaken. The noise was merely from a man trying to take another food wrap from the pregnant woman. Upon seeing Mume, people panicked and screamed. Ikoma tried to usher her back to their room, reminding her of their promise to stay secluded. Captain Kurusu attempted to shoot them for breaking their promise, but Lady Ayame intervened, asking why they had not kept their word. The people demanded their immediate removal from the train. Amidst the commotion, a crew member informed them that the patched water tank was broken and the train would not reach the next station. The train stopped for repairs. Lady Ayame was informed that the train would not be fully restored until the following morning. She decided they would use the time to offer prayers for their loved ones lost to the cabanan. During the prayers, some men reportedly plotted an attack against Ikoma and Mume, claiming they were cabanan. Lady Ayame noticed this. The workers repairing the train also discussed the people they had lost. Back on the train, Mume and Ikoma discussed how they had both lost their families to the kabane. Mume asked Ikoma why he always carried a precious stone. He recounted how he and his sister had found 2 such stones near a river and promised to always carry them. Tragically, the kabane attacked their town, killing everyone including his sister. He blamed himself for being a coward, having run away instead of helping her. He returned to where his sister lay only to find her transforming into a kabane, leaving him no choice but to kill her. The men reportedly attempted to attack Ikoma and Mume, but Lady Ayame intercepted them, stating that the cabannery were not their enemies. She informed Mume of the impending attack. Mume confronted the men, asking if they wanted to fight. As she was ready, Lady Ayame ordered them not to retaliate. At the prayer ceremony, the pregnant lady's heartbeat began to resemble a cabane's, making her believe she could not carry the child. Mume left to join them at the ceremony, where she reportedly declared she meant no harm and even played with a baby. Back on the train, Lady Ayame reportedly drew her knife and pressed it into Ikoma's chest, awaiting his reaction and asking if the cabannery were their enemy. Ikoma, in the presence of the men, stated that his sole purpose was to kill the kabane, a promise he had made to his sister. She believed him, as did the previously skeptical men. Lady Ayame apologized for testing him in such a way, and asked why he had not pushed her arm away. He replied that he did not want to hurt her. As Lady Ayame left, Ikoma collapsed. At the ceremony, Mume played with the children. She then stated she was hungry and demanded blood, since she was half kabane. The women became frightened, calling her a monster. On the train, Lady Ayame tried to care for Ikoma, but he attacked her, appearing to have transformed into a kabane and acting uncontrollably. The pregnant woman also turned into a kabane. Mume immediately rushed towards the woman with swords and eliminated her. Ikoma continued to try to bite Lady Ayame. Everyone blamed Mume for killing the pregnant lady. She explained that the child was also infected and beyond saving. The knights then spotted kabane approaching the train and informed everyone, prompting them to run back to the train for protection. Back on the train, as Ikoma attempted to bite Lady Ayame, Captain Kurusu rushed in and struck him with his gun. Ikoma immediately regained his senses and apologized to Lady Ayame. Mume entered and informed them they were under attack, urging them to get the train moving immediately. Workers were instructed to halt repairs to allow the train to move and escape the kabane. The knights shot at the kabane to repel them, but to no avail. On the train, everyone blamed the kabane for attracting the kabane. Lady Ayame asked an attendant to check her body for bite marks, but none were found. The elders on the train summoned Lady Ayame, questioning her leadership. They demanded she forfeit her leadership and allow them to rule. She agreed and handed over the master key that controlled the train. The elders instructed the train drivers to alter course and take a faster route to Kongokaku. Lady Ayame warned that the route was dangerous and would leave them vulnerable to kabane attacks due to its high grounds. They reportedly ignored her warning and proceeded with the chosen route. Ikoma doubted whether he was a kabaneri or a kaban. Mume noticed he was hungry and admitted to feeling the same. People on the train sent Tikumi and 2 other workers to Ikoma and Mume's room given their friendship. They also attempted to disconnect their carriage from the train. Before they could finish, Kabane unexpectedly attacked the train, eliminating them. The train door was already open, and the Kabane entered, beginning to eliminate people. Ikoma and Mume, locked in their carriage, could not help. Mume tried to shoot them from their carriage, but it was useless. A crew member informed others that they were under attack. One of the elders demanded they disconnect their carriage to minimize casualties. Captain Kurusu, some knights, and Lady Ayame decided they would fight the Kabane instead. Ikoma reportedly devised a plan for them to exit the carriage through a hatch to save others while the knights and Lady Ayame fought the Kabane. Captain Kurusu decided to retrieve his sword to fight the Kabane. Mume and Ikoma exited their carriage. They waited to leave the tunnel the train was currently passing through before moving into other carriages to strike the Kabane. One of the knights was bitten and reportedly decided to detonate himself in some Kabane. Kurusu returned with his sword and fought the remaining Kabane. Mume and Ikoma prepared to move into the other carriage, and Mume warned Ikoma that she might reach her limit sooner than expected, leaving him to fight alone. Once they passed the tunnel, they ran along the train towards the other carriage, eliminating every Kabane in their path. Kurusu fought one of the strongest Kabanen, known as a learner, on the train. Unfortunately, he was no match for the learner and was injured during the fight. On the train, Mume reached her limit and fell into a deep sleep. Ikoma had no choice but to face the learner alone. As he proceeded to enter the carriage, he became weak and needed blood to regain energy. Lady Ayame noticed this, cut herself, and offered him her blood. The learner was also attracted to the blood and tried to attack her. Captain Kurusu reportedly jumped on the learner and held him down, giving Ikoma time to feed on Lady Ayame's blood. After consuming the blood, Ikoma became energized, pounced on the learner, threw him to the floor, and shot him in the heart with his weapon. Everyone, seeing their victory, began rejoicing. Everyone, including Mume, then cleaned the blood stains on the train. Lady Ayame, the knights, the elders, and the crew members held a meeting where they decided to accept Ikoma and Mume for who they were and allow them into their midst. An elder asked how they would satisfy their cravings for blood. Lady Ayame offered to feed them her blood, but to her surprise, others also volunteered. Ikoma and Mume reportedly became free to enter any area of the train, as everyone had now accepted them and become their friends. The knights tested their new weapons, which were recreations of Ikoma's piercing cannon. Ikoma reportedly explained the weapon's mechanism. Ikoma also showed them the sword he had created using the metallic layer around Kaban hearts. In another part of the train, 2 men fought over food, causing a commotion. Mume tried to warn them, but they hurled insults at her. Mume scolded them and restored peace and quiet on the train. Ikoma, hearing this, entered and asked Mume if she was causing trouble. Lady Ayame arrived and thanked Mume for restoring order, also calling her the Iron Fortress Guardian. The train came to a halt because there was no response from the Yashiro station. It turned out the station had been overrun by Kabane. Lady Ayame reportedly dispatched a rescue team to help the survivors. They realized a watchtower had collapsed onto the train tracks, preventing them from continuing their journey. One of the knights suggested they turn back and take another route, but Lady Ayame disagreed, noting that the journey would take an additional 10 days and their food supply would not last, as they had planned to resupply at Yashiro Station, which was now under Kabanen control. They offered the survivors food and drinks. One survivor recounted how a small Kabanen came over the wall and engulfed them. Mume recognized a man among the survivors. This survivor, named Inu, requested to use the toilet but instead whispered to Mume to meet outside. Mume asked him what he needed. The survivor then revealed that the shogun was stockpiling weapons to eliminate humans, not kabane. He asked Mume to deliver this message to the young master and inform him of the shogun's suspicious activities. He also asked her to tell the young master that he would gladly help in his time of need, but Mume refused to deliver the latter message. The man then reportedly drew his sword and a gun, threatening to kill her. He sheathed his sword and warned her that they would cast her aside when she was no longer useful, just as they had done to him. Ikoma reportedly explained his plan to remove the watchtower from the train tracks to allow them to continue their journey. He intended to power up the crane from a boiler room and use it to move the watchtower. One of the knights informed him that the boiler room was a kaban nest, but Ikoma assured them they would attack from behind, forcing the kaban to attack in a single file. Mume entered and interrupted him, but then told him to continue with his plan. Mume agreed to help, but refused to fight with them, claiming their plan was cowardly and involved avoiding the kaban. Ikoma tried to explain that he merely wanted to prevent unnecessary loss of life, but she would not listen and reportedly kicked him. Mume left the room, recalling what Inu had told her. She met her friends on the train, finding them mourning the death of their dog. She reportedly told them the dog was already injured and they would have abandoned him eventually. Her friends found her words inappropriate, became angry and sent her out. Ikoma asked Takumi and Sukari for help with his plan. He assigned them the task of operating the crane, and they agreed. He told Mume that they had agreed to help and asked if she would fight with them. She confirmed she would. Ikoma warned her to avoid the boiler room as it contained a large number of kabani. Everyone proceeded with Ikoma's plan. Everyone began moving to their assigned positions, except Mume, who reportedly disregarded Ikoma's warning and attacked the boiler room. Seeing this, Ikoma decided to go after her to prevent her from getting hurt. Mume eliminated all the kabani in the boiler room, making it easy for Ikoma to operate the crane and lift the watchtower from the track. While in the boiler room, they realized more kabani were approaching. Ikoma told Takumi and Sukari to return to the train for safety, stating he would continue their job since the kabani bite did not affect him. Mume left to fight them but was becoming weak. She eliminated almost all the kabani but was overpowered by one that threw her off the cliff. Ikoma, seeing this, stopped the crane he was operating to save her. This stop prevented the Iron Fortress from continuing its journey because the watchtower was not fully off the tracks. Ikoma jumped off the cliff after Mume and killed the kabani. A great earthquake then shook the station and a large dark creature known as the smog emerged from its shadow. The building collapsed during the earthquake, trapping Mume and Ikoma. Mume reportedly dreamed about a past moment. She woke up and realized she was trapped under a rock. The giant creature chased the train, attempting to destroy it. They reportedly drove into an armored shelter and escaped the creature. Ikoma came to Mume's rescue. He asked her if she was hurt as he tried to push the rocks away from her, but he was powerless. Mume stated she knew his plan had failed because of her. He agreed, but also blamed himself for abandoning the crane controls when he saw her fall. He told her they could not die yet in that place because they had to make things right. On the train, the knights and Lady Ayame deliberated on the best way to avoid the monster and escape. Lady Ayame suggested they travel back and escape through the mountains. The train driver disagreed, stating the train could not travel at high speed in reverse, and the monster would catch up. One of the knights suggested they continue their normal route and ram into the watchtower regardless of the damage to the train. They agreed with this plan. Takumi reportedly told them they could not leave the Kabaneri, but one of the knights disagreed, claiming they were the reason for their current predicament. Ikoma continued to try to find a way to lift the rocks away from Mume so they could rejoin the others, but his efforts seemed futile. Mume began to transform into a kabani because she had not taken blood in a long time. Ikoma fed her from his bottle of blood, and she immediately returned to normal. Hordes of kabani began to move towards them. Mume urged him to leave her and save himself, but he would not listen. Ikoma set up his weapon and prepared to fight them. Mume pleaded with him not to fight, as there were too many for him to handle. He ignored her words and charged at them. Mume fell into a deep sleep and began to have flashbacks of a man killing her mother, claiming she was a kabani, and how a man saved her during her younger days. Ikoma fought off all the kabani, severely injuring himself in the process. Captain Kurusu and some knights came to their rescue and lifted the rocks from Mume. Immediately Mume awoke. She asked about Ikoma and went looking for him. She found him injured and lying on the floor. She reportedly told him she was surprised they could not die even at their weakest. While rejoining the others on the train, they saw the monster, known as a smog, which was a fused colony of kabani. They got on the train and saw the smog assimilating multiple kabane to grow larger. Ikoma asked how they could defeat it, and Sukari informed him they had acquired a Type 48 cannon to fight the smog. Ikoma then lifted the watchtower with the crane. Mume explained that the only way to kill a smog was by hitting its heart. They asked if the Type 48 cannon could destroy the heart, but she replied that it could not, as it was protected by a host of kabane, but it would expose the heart for piercing. She volunteered to do this herself. She left to apologize for what she had said to her friends when they were mourning their dog. The smog attacked the train as everyone prepared to fight it. They finished connecting the Type 48 cannon to the train and prepared to shoot at the smog. Mume asked them to draw it in before shooting, as she prepared herself to strike when the smog's heart was exposed. Takumi shot at the smog, but it had little impact, and the creature continued to chase them. Ikoma and Captain Kurusu prepared to battle the other kabane on the train. Captain Kurusu used the sword Ikoma had made as they attacked the kabane. The smog chased the train and almost caught up. The train driver tried increasing the train's speed, but something was jamming the gear. She asked Sukari to check it and clear it. Takumi prepared to fire, but the smog caught up with the train. At that moment, Sukari cleared the gear and the train driver increased the train's speed. Takumi shot at the smog, exposing its heart. Immediately, Mume struck and pierced the smog's heart, causing it to explode into pieces. Because the train was moving too fast, it was about to derail and fall off. Lady Ayame ordered everyone on the train to move to the right side of the train to reduce the weight so the train could get back on track. They followed her instructions and the train continued its journey. Ikoma practiced his sword training on the train, mimicking Captain Kurusu's moves. Captain Kurusu reportedly disapproved and hit him with a wooden sword. They were informed that a town called Shitori Station was in sight. Everyone went outside to observe the town, happy to see people living there. Lady Ayame left the Iron Fortress in charge of the elders on the train because she had a meeting with the Lord of Shitori Station. Ikoma and Sukari informed her that they were out of die iron, the material used for their jet bullets. Lady Ayame asked them to acquire more. They also informed her they needed spare parts for train repairs, clothes and medicines for the people on board. Captain Kurusu informed her they were to depart on the 8th, which was the next day. They remembered that the current day was Tanabata, a ceremony where people write wishes and hang them on bamboo trees. Lady Ayame told them they would participate in the ceremony. She also gave Ikoma money to purchase the necessary supplies for the train. In the town there was widespread mirth and happiness as people bathed and prepared for the Tanabata ceremony. Mume and the others received new clothes. The women on the train asked Mume to go shopping with them. Mume looked surprised by her friend Kajika's reaction to pricing goods. Ikoma and Takumi purchased the necessary train supplies at a shop. Ikoma asked if he could get burst charges for his jet bullet. A knight entered and told the shop owner to fix his gun immediately. The shop owner told him he had to serve Ikoma first, but the knight refused, ordering him to fix his gun at once. Ikoma intervened and an argument ensued. Takumi entered and pushed the knight away. The knight reportedly drew his sword and tried to strike Takumi, but Ikoma stopped him, beat him and threw him out of the shop. The knight, acknowledging his defeat, left the shop grudgingly. A little boy then approached Mume and asked if she knew anything about the Fang Fortress, a train his father worked on. Mume remembered it was the train that crashed into their town, releasing the kabanan that drove them out, but she reportedly lied to the child, stating she had no information. Sukari walked up to them and told the child the truth, that the train had been overturned by kabanan and everyone on it had been turned. The little boy refused to believe them, saying his father had promised to return, but Sukari consoled him. Lady Ayame and Captain Kurosu waited for the lord of the station. Captain Kurosu entered while Lady Ayame was eating and decided to give her some privacy. Lady Ayame and Captain Kurosu met with the lord of the station, and she introduced herself. They reportedly offered him a gift of their jet bullet weapons in exchange for food and care for their sick and injured. Inu, a man named Kenta representing the shogun, and another man, a former earl of the Liberator, discussed a power conflict and the impending arrival of a Liberator at Shitori Station. Kajika and Mume returned from their shopping, and Mume showed Ikoma what Kajika had bought for her. Kajika showed her how to write her wish and hang it on the bamboo tree for the Tanabata ceremony. Mume reportedly had a flashback of her mother doing the same when she was younger. Everyone decided to get something to eat, but Ikoma realized Mume was missing and had not taken her blood meal. Ikoma found her sitting alone at a house. He gave her her bottle of blood, which served as her dinner. They both drank from their respective bottles. Mume told him she remembered celebrating Tanabata before with her mother who called her Hazumi, but she could not spell the name, so Akoma spelled it for her. Akoma teased her, saying her mother gave her that name because she loved eating rice. She reportedly laughed and told him they should enjoy the moment because they could turn into Kabani at any time. Akoma promised he would turn her back into a human and eliminate all the Kabani no matter what it took. Everyone returned to the train to celebrate Tanabata. They wrote their wishes and hung them on the bamboo tree. Takumi wished he would make it out alive. Lady Ayame wished she would one day reclaim their town. Ikoma wished to destroy all Kabani in the world. And Mume wished to fill her belly with rice. Captain Kurusu hid his wish from Lady Ayame. Fireworks then illuminated the sky, captivating everyone. The following morning, people arrived on a train, identified as the liberators whose purpose was to fight Kabani. A tall young man, Lord Biba, stepped out, and Mume ran to him, calling him brother. He reportedly expressed gladness to see her and inquired about her guide. She explained what had happened to him at Aragine Station. Akoma found the man suspicious and vowed to discover if he was a true hero or something else. Mume informed Lord Biba that there was another Kabaniri on their train. Lady Ayame introduced herself as the heir of the Yagawa family. She also told him how Mume had been of great help to them, and they had not known they were siblings. He told them they were not related, but she simply called him brother. Akoma also arrived and Mume introduced him to Lord Biba. Akoma asked him why he believed Mume and the weak were expected to die. Lord Biba sent Mume away and asked them to speak in a quiet place. Lord Biba then reportedly gave them a tour of his train. He was informed of a leak in the engines and decided to work on it himself, ordering his assistant Horobi to continue the tour with Lady Ayame, Captain Kurusu and Akoma. Akoma asked if he could assist in repairing the engine, to which Lord Biba agreed. On the train they encountered a man who tried to interfere with Lady Ayame and Captain Kurusu while they were working. In the engine room, Lord Biba answered Akoma's question, stating that in their world only the strong survived and the weak died. He also told him that survival was not about hiding, but about the ability to rise and fight the Kabane. They heard an alarm indicating that Kabane were attacking the station and proceeded to prepare for battle. It turned out that Kenta and the man who had met Inu earlier had lured the Kabane to attack the town so Lord Biba could join the fight. Lord Biba planned their attack strategy as they prepared to battle the Kabane. The Knights of the Iron Fortress shot at the Kabane from the station walls, but Lord Biba's train rode out to confront the Kabane outside the town walls. Lord Biba rode a horse while his soldiers rode motorbikes as they charged at the Kabane. Mume and Akoma also joined the fight. A giant Kabane attacked them. Mume reportedly told Lord Biba to allow her to handle it. Lord Biba granted her permission and ordered his assistant Horobi to assist her. Inu reportedly sneaked up on Lord Biba, but Lord Biba saw him. Inu told him that some people had sent him to kill him, but he was ready to expose them if Lord Biba gave him the order and allowed him to do his bidding. Lord Biba told him he had no use for him. Inu was unhappy with this response and attacked Lord Biba with his sword. Lord Biba anticipated the attack and overpowered him. Lord Biba told him he was weak because he had already decided to betray him. He then reportedly thrust his sword into him, eliminating him. Ikoma confronted him for killing the man. Takumi stopped him, and Lady Ayame apologized to Lord Biba on his behalf. Lord Biba sent out his soldiers to arrest Kenta and execute the other rebels. Lady Ayame apologized once again to Lord Biba on Ikoma's behalf. Ikoma offered to accompany them to Kongokaku. Lord Biba's train was connected to the Iron Fortress, and they rode out. Everyone on the train seemed happy because they were now under Lord Biba's protection. Ikoma reportedly told Takumi that he suspected Lord Biba had turned Mume into a Kabaneri because she had never been bitten. Mume had flashbacks of her younger days when Lord Biba trained her. She woke up to Lord Biba and some specialists examining her body and discussing her bruises. Lord Biba ordered her to steal the master key to the Iron Fortress by any means. Lord Biba visited a hidden room on his train where he transported Kabani and also tortured Kenta to confess who had betrayed them on the battlefield 10 years ago. He revealed it was the Shogun. Ikoma reportedly felt there were Kabana on the train and told Takumi. Mume confronted Lady Ayame, telling her to hand over the master key to the Iron Fortress. Mume overheard their conversation, entered pretending to have the key, and gave Mume a fake. Takumi ran in looking scared and told them to come with him. Lord Biba told Mume that the key she was given was a fake. Ikoma tried to enter Lord Biba's control room. Lord Biba reportedly told Mume they would have to kill him if he forced his way in. Mume told him she would speak to him and send him away. Ikoma informed her that the train was transporting Kabane. She replied that she knew and that they were used for experiments. She told him she had allowed them to turn her into a kabaneri because she did not want to be weak like her mother. She told him to stay out of her business. Ikoma knew at that moment that Lord Biba was up to no good. The train stopped at Iwad Station because the shogun was reportedly wary of Lord Biba and had ordered that the liberators not be allowed into Kongokaku and its territories. Lord Biba had anticipated this and was prepared. The people of the Iron Fortress continued their journey without Mume, Lord Biba and his soldiers. Ikoma and the rest stated they should distance themselves from the liberators because they had over 100 kabani on their train. Lady Ayame said it was not safe for Mume to stay with them. Ikoma promised to retrieve her. Lord Biba prepared to meet Lord Mao, the Lord of Iwad Station, but Lord Mao reportedly stipulated that only women and children should accompany him. He ordered Mume to prepare to follow him. Horobi, his assistant, asked why he kept deceiving Mume. Lady Ayame visited Lord Mao and thanked him for preparing the way to Kongokaku for them. Lord Mao informed her that Lord Biba would be meeting him later and apologized for the stipulation that only women and children were allowed, as that was the only way the shogun's delegates would meet Lord Biba. Mume and Horobi accompanied Lord Biba to meet with Lord Mao. Takumi spotted Mume from afar and informed Ikoma. At the meeting, one of the shogun's delegates reportedly pointed a gun at Lord Biba, but Lord Man cautioned him. He stated that Lord Biba would have no problem conversing even with a gun pointed at him. As the meeting progressed, Mume reportedly lied about needing to use the toilet. Instead, she knocked out all the guards and found her way to the rail control lever. She lowered the rail, believing Lord Biba's train, the Triumphant Fortress, would enter the station, but instead, she saw hordes of Kaban led by Lord Biba's soldiers making their way into the town. She was shocked, realizing she had been deceived. Ikoma and Takumi ran up to her, unable to believe what she had done. Lord Ma heard the Kaban alarm and could not believe what was happening. Horobi and Lord Biba attacked and eliminated the shogun's delegates. Lord Biba struck Lord Ma and threw him to the floor. Lady Ayame picked up a spear and reportedly yelled at Lord Biba to stop the madness. Horobi threw a knife at her, but Yukina jumped in front of her and was hit instead. Lord Biba then struck Lord Ma and eliminated him. Miyume, unable to believe her actions, decided to help the people. Ikoma and Takumi also decided to help everyone and deal with Miyume later. Ikoma asked another knight where Lady Ayame was, but they had no answer. Captain Kurusu arrived on a horse and promised he would look for her. Mume reportedly tried to save a mother and her child from the Kabane but failed. Captain Kurusu saw that Lady Ayame and Mume had been captured. He chased down the train. The knights of Iwad town tried to reach the Triumphant Fortress, but Lord Biba's soldiers opened fire on them and annihilated them. Lord Biba took a potion from his secret room and injected it into Horobi. Horobi's body began to mutate as she transformed into a smog. She attacked the knights and also destroyed the town gate. Mume asked Lord Biba why they had allowed Kabane to enter the town. He stated they were striving towards a world of fairness and equality. Horobi's body and the smog could no longer handle the power, so she collapsed along with the smog. Captain Kurusu proceeded to save Lady Ayame. He took down the guards holding her. One of the scientists produced a machine gun and shot at him but missed as Kurusu shielded himself with one of the guards. Lady Ayame reportedly snatched a briefcase from one of the scientists and threatened to drop it if they did not let her go and stop the fighting. The scientist pointed the gun at her. Kurusu pushed him and they both fell off the train. The potion had transformed Horobi into a powerful monster. She attacked her soldiers, eliminating everyone in her path. She almost struck Lord Biba, but could not bring herself to do it. Lord Biba reportedly drew his sword, thrust it into her, and eliminated her. Mume could not believe her eyes. Lord Biba's soldiers arrested everyone from the Iron Fortress and Ikoma. They told Ikoma they needed samples of his blood and that he should not resist, or they would kill him and take it from his dead body. Lord Biba addressed the people of Iwad and encouraged them to join him in his fight to end mankind's cowardice. They captured Ikoma. Mume realized everything Lord Biba had ever told her was a lie. Ikoma, while locked in a cage, vowed to make Lord Biba pay for his crimes. Sukari joined the liberators and now worked for them. He served the prisoners their food and told Mui to give Ikoma his blood drink. Takumi and others were selected and forced to donate their blood to feed the Kabandi on board. A man tried to plead with them to slow him down and donate for himself and his wife so they could spare her from donating. One of the soldiers cut him and asked that he be taken. Takumi tried to challenge him, but other soldiers restrained him. Takumi asked Ikoma when he would carry out his plans to stop Lord Biba, and Ikoma told him they would execute the plan the next day when they came for the blood. Lord Biba told Lady Ayame she was to make them open the gates to Kongokaku, and also plan a meeting between him and his father, the shogun. Lady Ayame stated she would only agree if he guaranteed the safety of her people, which he assured her. Lady Ayame asked him what he would do when he finally met his father. He recounted the story of what happened 10 years ago when his father deployed 400,000 knights to fight and exterminate the Kabani and made him the commander despite being 12 years old. She reportedly told him his father had cut off their supply, allowing the Kabani to obliterate them, so he must deliver his punishment with his own hand. Ikoma shared his plan with the knights imprisoned with him. He told them that if they seized the control room, Lord Biba would have no choice but to release them, Lady Ayame and Mume. He stated they would seize the control room by stealing the keys from the person who came to collect the blood. Everyone left except Takumi, who asked Ikoma if Mume reminded him of his sister, and if they were alike in some ways. Ikoma vowed to save Mume whether she liked it or not, because something kept telling him it was the right thing to do. Mume reportedly barged into a room and accused a scientist of turning Horobi into a smog. She saw one of the Iron Fortress men in pain and the scientist taking blood from his body. She confronted Lord Biba about why he was taking blood from the Iron Fortress people. He replied that the Kaban in entering the world had helped them see the light and had revealed who needed to be struck down. He tried to touch Mume, but she flinched, so he told her not to be scared of him. A man then delivered a letter to him. Lord Biba promised he would send word that the Iron Fortress people should not be harmed. Ikoma and the Iron Fortress people proceeded with their plan. Ikoma broke out of his cage. The soldiers brought their food and also came to collect blood. They released gas on them, attacked them, overpowered them, and took over their weapons. Takumi tried to hit Sukari, but Ikoma interfered, stopped him, and reportedly told him that Sukari had been working for him all along. Ikoma fought one of the soldiers. He pulled out a gun, but Takumi hit him before he could shoot. Ikoma took the keys, mounted his weapon, and they proceeded to hijack the control room. Lord Biba offered Mume a knife to complete a task for him. He stated that if she refused, he would stop her medication and allow the curse to spread throughout her body. She refused to do this task, stating she preferred to be with the Iron Fortress people. The scientists tried to grab her, but she escaped their grasp. They eventually overpowered her, and she was tranquilized into unconsciousness. Ikoma and Takumi tried to enter the control room but discovered that the key had been switched, indicating a trap. Lord Biba and his soldiers cornered them, and he told them he had anticipated their revolt, which was why he had switched the key. He reportedly produced his gun and shot at Ikoma, but Takumi jumped in front of him and took the bullet instead. Takumi, with his last breath, said he was proud he could save him this time and died. Ikoma cried. Lord Biba asked him to describe how it felt to lose a friend, implying he might spare him. Ikoma charged at him, but before he could land a hit, they floored him and beat him up. Lord Biba shot off his right hand. He called on Mume and asked her to terminate him. Mume reportedly plunged his knife into him. He fell out of the train and into a river. Kajika wept for Takumi's death, yelling at Lord Biba's guards. Ikoma survived the fall. Lord Biba produced the smog potion. He spoke about how his father was a cowardly man and how he had once struck him from behind thinking he was a Kaban and telling him it was not his fault but Fear's fault. Mume, now mind-controlled, waited in Lord Biba's presence. He called her and injected her with the smog potion. In Kongokaku, the emperor, also known as the shogun, addressed the townspeople. He informed them that Iwad town, an important part of their defense, had fallen, and the man responsible was the head of the liberators, Lord Biba. He assured them they had nothing to worry about because Kongokaku was an impregnable fortress. A man approached him and requested he inform them about the smog that destroyed Iwad's gate. The emperor reportedly thrust his sword into him, eliminating him so the information would not reach the people. Ikoma reportedly dreamed of Mume attacking him. He woke up abruptly and blamed himself for Takumi's death, saying he should not have allowed him to fight alongside him. He also blamed himself for Mume's situation, claiming it would never have happened if they had not met. He saw a Kabane approaching him, and he ran and hid in an abandoned ship. The Iron Fortress arrived in Kongokaku. Word reached the Emperor that Lady Ayame had captured Lord Biba and wanted to hand him over. The Iron Fortress was allowed into the city. Lord Biba, in cuffs, whispered to Lady Ayame to follow the script and play along or they would harm her people. Lady Ayame met her uncle and told him what had happened to her father. She requested they take her people in because they were exhausted from the long journey, but she was informed that the city's inspection policy required them to be isolated for 3 days regardless of whether they had been bitten. When he heard someone enter thinking it was the Kabani, Ikoma in his hideout tripped and fell, but it was Kurusu. Kurusu asked him what had happened to Lady Ayame and everyone else. He informed him they had been arrested by Lord Biba. Kurusu became angry and scolded him for running away and not helping them. The scientist checked his wound. Kurusu asked him to join them in pursuing the Iron Fortress, but he refused, stating he was better off dead. Lord Biba knelt in the presence of the Emperor. He returned the knife his father had given him when he was young. He asked his father, the Emperor, to be the one to take his life. The Emperor agreed and unsheathed the knife to strike him, but unbeknownst to him, Lord Biba had already laced the knife with a potion that turned people into Kabani. Lord Biba told everyone present that the Kabani lived among people, and that the reason he had survived Kabani was because he could differentiate them from humans. He told them that even at that moment there was a Kabani among them. The Emperor began to transform. The guards, seeing this, shot him multiple times. Lord Biba rose, unsheathed his sword and told him fear had killed him, not him, before thrusting his sword into him. Lord Biba told the city's people that their emperor was a Kabani and that there were Kabani among them. A commotion erupted in the town as people began to fight and kill one another. The liberators infiltrated the city and opened the gate to allow Lord Biba's train, the Triumphant Fortress, to enter the city. The Triumphant Fortress released Kabani all over the city. The Kabani began to annihilate the city's people. One of the guards realized Lord Biba had turned the emperor into a Kabani with the knife. Before he could attack, Lord Biba eliminated him. Kurusu prepared to journey to Kongokaku to save Lady Ayame and the Iron Fortress people. The scientist stated that Mume must have been turned into a smog by now, and that Ikoma had given up on life and was no different from the Kabani. Kurusu hit him and asked him to remain silent. He walked up to Ikoma and told him that Mume had deliberately spared him because the stab wound was just a fraction away from his heart. He also told him they had turned Mume into a smog. After Ikoma heard this, he decided to follow them to Kongokaku. Mume began to recall past memories as she gradually transformed into a smog. Ikoma cut his hair and affixed his weapon to his amputated right hand. The scientist told him Mume would lose her life when she became the smog, and the only way to save her was to inject her heart with white plasma. He asked the scientist for a potion that would grant him extraordinary powers. He injected himself with the potion and began to transform. The scientist told him he needed to remove his restraint to unleash his full power. As he pulled on the restraint, he recalled his last moments with his sister and Mume. He removed the restraint and fully transformed. Mume transformed into a mighty smog and terrorized the city, destroying everything in her path. The city's knights shot at the Kabani, but they could not overpower them until Ikoma and Kurusu arrived in Kongokaku and joined the fight. Ikoma shot the Kabane with his strength and Kurusu sliced through them with his sword. After exterminating the Kabane, they proceeded to save Mume with the antidote. Ikoma recalled that the scientist had warned there was only one antidote left, so he had to choose between saving himself or Mume, but his heart was set and nothing would stop him from saving Mume. The Iron Fortress people imprisoned Yukina and her peers, protesting that they should be set on fire because they had brought the virus into the town. Lady Ayame intervened and demanded they handle things peacefully and not eliminate the wrong people, but rather eliminate their doubting minds. She assured them they would escape Kongokaku. Mume continued to destroy the city. The knight shot cannons and threw everything at her, but nothing proved effective. In her unconsciousness, she saw visions of butterflies chasing her and her mother screaming at her. One of Lord Biba's commanders, Lord Sahari, reported to Lord Biba that Mume would soon reach the tower, and they needed to evacuate. Before they could start evacuating, Ikoma and Kurusu attacked them. The two lords were shocked to see Ikoma because they thought he was dead. They tried to shoot him in the head, as that was a weak spot, but Kurusu interfered and sliced them up with his sword. Lord Sahari, seeing that nothing worked, decided to crush him with their train. He was held down on the tracks while the train rushed at him with great speed. Before the train could crush him, a great surge of energy reportedly left his body, sending the train into the air and blowing it up. Lord Sahari, enraged, attacked him with a spear, but Akoma was able to hold him off and shot him in the chest. Lord Biba wondered why Akoma would not break after so many wounds he had inflicted. One of the scientists informed him that the Kabani were spreading more than they had anticipated. He offered him the white blood antidote in case of the worst. Lord Biba delegated one of his soldiers to plan their escape once it was over because he had somewhere to go, as he said a dying man was calling him. Mume continued her rampage. Kurusu and Akoma tried to catch up with her and almost lost their lives in the process. Kurusu confronted a horde of Kaban, but he told Akoma to go save Mume, stating he could handle himself. Akoma ran to save Mume. Mume continued in her vision, but she became overwhelmed by the power of the smog and she collapsed in the real world. Before Akoma could give her the antidote, Lord Biba stopped him, and they engaged in a fierce battle. Lord Biba seemed to be gaining the upper hand over Akoma as he thrust his sword into Akoma, but Akoma broke it. He also tried to rip off Akoma's hand, but he eventually threw him off with his powers. Akoma charged at him with rage but stopped abruptly, looking confused. Lord Biba tried to sneak up on him from behind, but Akoma saw it coming and reportedly shot his hand away from his body. Akoma rushed towards Mume and injected her with the antidote. Immediately, the rest of the smog began to melt away, and Mume emerged unharmed. She woke up and saw Lord Biba shooting at Akoma's helpless body. Mume begged him to stop, but he would not listen, so she took a spear and pierced him through the heart. Back in the city, everyone tried to board the Iron Fortress. Lady Ayame and the rest tried to uncover Lord Biba's escape route. One of Lord Biba's soldiers offered to show them the route if only they would give them a lift on the train. Kajika slapped him, but Lady Ayame told them to remain calm and accept their deal as they meant no harm. Ikoma lay lifeless on the floor with Mume and Kurusu by his side. Kajika spoke to them through the public address speakers and told them to meet them at the Iron Fortress. They started the train, and their journey began. Kurusu carried Akoma, and they left to catch up with the train. They caught up with the rest. The train sped out as the city collapsed behind them. Thank you so much for staying on this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you updated with our latest content. See you in the next video.